Peter's Square. Our cameras are zooming out there of the baby Jesus in the Christmas nativity scene found in St. Peter's Square and offered by a diocese in Italy for this year's Christmas. In just a few moments, Pope Leo XIV will be appearing at the study window of the Apostolic Palace, from where he will lead the recitation of the Sunday Angelus prayer on this 4th of January. That is shown here to provide translation and narration on this weekly Sunday appointment here in St. Peter's Square. The lifelike scene of the Nativity in St. Peter's Square is always an impressive scene to be found in Advent and then leading up to the Christmas season. It's been a busy new year for Pope Leo XIV. On January 1st, the Solemnity of Mary, the Holy Mother of God. He celebrated the New Year's Day Mass in St. Peter's Basilica. And recalling that we're also approaching the conclusion of the Jubilee of Hope. In fact, on Tuesday, he'll be closing the final holy door, the holy door of St. Peter's Basilica here in the Vatican, on the Solemnity of the Epiphany, January 6th. On New Year's Day, the Pope said, as the conclusion of the Jubilee of Hope comes upon us, let us draw near to the nativity scene in faith. Let us approach it as the place of unarmed and disarming peace par excellence, a place of blessing where we recall the wonders the Lord has worked in the history of salvation and in our own lives. Our television viewers can see the crowds gathered in the square, scattered about so that they can get a view of that study window and see the Pope as he offers an opening address, a reflection, usually on the day's gospel reading, followed by the Marian prayer, the Angelus, and his apostolic blessing, which goes out to all those gathered there and all of you watching or listening to us here on our Vatican Media channel. It's a mild and rainy day here in Rome. It was raining heavily just a few minutes ago, but it's lightened up, thankfully, for the crowds there in the square. Yesterday evening, the Sistine Chapel Choir performed a Christmas concert in the presence of Pope Leo, who recalled the angels of Bethlehem, and he entrusted the world's children to the prayer of song. There is no Christmas without song. And with these words, Pope Leo XIV concluded the Christmas concert there yesterday evening in the Pontifical Sistine Chapel, with the Sistine Chapel Choir there. And the Pope thanked the choir there for having led listeners into the mystery of Christmas through the language of music and song, a language capable of speaking not only to the mind, but also to the heart. And Pope Leo appearing there at the study window of the Apostolic Palace. He'll now offer us his initial greetings and words. Dear brothers and sisters, a happy Sunday to you. On this second Sunday after the Nativity of the Lord, I wish first to renew my good wishes to you all. The day after tomorrow, with the closing of the Holy Door of St. Peter's Basilica, we'll conclude the Jubilee of Hope, the very mystery of Christmas, in which we are still immersed, reminds us that the foundation of our hope is God's incarnation. The prologue of John, which the liturgy sets before us today, recalls this clearly. The Word became flesh and lived among us. Indeed, Christian hope is not based on optimistic forecasts or human calculations, but on God's decision to share our journey, so that we may never be alone as we travel through life. This is God's work. In Jesus, He became one of us, chose to remain with us, and willed to be forever God with us. The coming of Jesus in the weakness of human flesh rekindles our hope, and at the same time it entrusts us with a twofold commitment, one to God and the other to our fellow human beings. We are committed to God, for since He has become flesh, choosing our human frailty as His dwelling place, we are called to reconsider how we think about Him, beginning with the flesh of Jesus, and not from an abstract doctrine. We must therefore constantly examine our spirituality and the ways in which we express our faith, in order to ensure that they are truly incarnate. In other words, we must be capable of contemplating, proclaiming, and praying to the God who meets us in Jesus. He is not a distant deity in a perfect heaven above us, but a God who is nearby and inhabits our fragile earth, who becomes present in the faces of our brothers and sisters, and reveals Himself in the circumstances of daily life. Our commitment to all men and women must also be consistent. Since God has become one of us, every human creature is a reflection of Him, bearing His image and containing a spark of His light. This calls us to recognize the inviolable dignity of every person and to offer ourselves in mutual love for one another. Moreover, the Incarnation demands a concrete commitment to the promotion of fraternity and communion. Through this commitment, solidarity becomes the criterion of all human relationships, calling us to strive for justice and peace, to care for the most fragile, and to defend the weak. God has become flesh. Therefore, there is no authentic worship of God without care for humanity. Brothers and sisters, may the joy of Christmas encourage us to continue on our journey. Let us ask the Virgin Mary to make us ever more ready to serve both God and our neighbor.
Angelus Domini, nunciavit Mariae,
et concepit Spiritus Sancto.
Ave Maria, gratia plena, Dominus tecum, benedicta tu in mulieribus, et benedictus fructus ventris tui, Iesus.
Sancta Maria, Mater Dei, ora pro nobis peccatoribus, nunc et in hora mortis nostre. Amen.
Ecce ancilla Domini.
Fiat mi secundum verbum tuum.
Ave Maria, gratia plena, Dominus tecum, benedicta tu in mulieribus, et benedictus fructus ventris tui, Iesus.
Sancta Maria, Mater Dei, ora pro nobis peccatoribus, nunc et in hora mortis nostre. Amen.
Et verbum caro factum est,
Et habitavit in nobis.
Ave Maria, gratia plena, Dominus tecum, benedicta tu in mulieribus, et benedictus fructus ventris tui, Iesus.
Sancta Maria, Mater Dei, ora pro nobis peccatoribus, nunc et in hora mortis nostre. Amen.
Ora pro nobis sancta Dei Genitrix.
Digne ficiamur promissionibus Christi.
Oremus. Gratiam tuam quesumus Domine mentibus nostris infunde, ut qui angelo nunciante, Christi filii tui incarnationum coniovimus, per passionem eius et crucem, ad resurrectionis gloriam perducamur, per Christum Dominum nostrum.
Amen.
Gloria Patri et Filio et Spiritui Sancto.
Sicut erat in principio et nunc et semper, et in saecula saeculorum. Amen.
Gloria Patri et Filio et Spiritui Sancto.
Sicut erat in principio et nunc et semper, et in saecula saeculorum. Amen.
Gloria Patri et Filio et Spiritui Sancto.
Sicut erat in principio et nunc et semper, et in saecula saeculorum. Amen.
Pro fidelibus defunctis. Requiem aeternam dona eis Domine.
Et lux perpetua luceat eis.
Requiescant in pace.
Amen.
Dominus vobiscum.
Et cum spiritu tuo,
Sit nomen Domini benedictum.
ex hoc nunc et usque in saeculum,
Adiutorium nostrum in nomine Domini.
qui fecit caelum et terram.
Benedicat vos omnipotens Deus, Pater et Filius et Spiritus Sanctus.
Amen.
And Pope Leo there imparting his apostolic blessing to all those present in the square and all of you listening and watching with us.
Cari fratelli e
Dear
sorelle,
brothers and sisters,
desidero esprimere nuovamente la mia vicinanza
I wish to express my closeness to all those suffering due to the tragedy in Transmontana in Switzerland. I assure you of my prayers for the young people who died, for the injured, and for the family members of the victims. And with great concern, I am following the developments of the situation in Venezuela. The good of the beloved Venezuelan people must prevail over every other consideration and lead to overcoming violence and taking up a journey of justice and peace, guaranteeing the sovereignty of the country, ensuring the rule of law written in the Constitution, and respecting human and civil rights of all, and working together to build a peaceful future of collaboration, stability, and harmony, with special attention to the poorest who suffer because of the difficult economic situation. And for this I pray and invite you to pray, entrusting our prayer to the intercession of Our Lady of Coromoto and Saints Jose Gregorio Hernandez and Sister Carmen Rendiles. And I greet with affection all of you, Romans and pilgrims from various countries.
In particolare
And
quelli provenienti
those
dalla Slovacchia
from
e da Zagabria,
Slovakia and then from Zagreb.
ministranti della cattedrale di Gozo,
And
Malta,
those from Gozo in Malta,
del seminario diocesano di
and the diocesan
Fréjus-Toulon in Francia.
seminary in France.
Saluto il gruppo
I greet
dell'oratorio di Pudiano in Ercolano,
the
le
groups
famiglie, gli
from
operatori
Herculaneum in
pastorali
Italy
di
and
Postomia e Porcelengo,
those various towns you've heard
fedeli
from
di San Antonio
in
Abate,
Italy.
Torano Nuovo e Colle Passo. Come pure
Pope Leo greeting those from the various towns throughout from parts of Italy.
Gli scout della provincia di Modena e di Roccella Ionica, i cresimandi di Ulla Tirso e Neonelli e quelli di Trescore Balneario.
All the various groups there being announced and waving to the cameras. Brothers and sisters, let us continue to have faith in our God of peace, and may we be in solidarity with people who are suffering in countries affected by war. I wish all of you a very good Sunday. Pope Leo smiling and greeting the crowds there at the conclusion of this Sunday Angelus there in St. Peter's Square, asking us all to pray for those who are living in countries torn apart by war and to pray for peace in those countries. But in particular, he mentioned his great concern over the situation in Venezuela and asking that we pray for dialogue there and overcome any violence, taking up a journey of justice and peace and guaranteeing the sovereignty of the country, ensuring the rule of law, respecting human and civil rights, and working to build together a peaceful future. And praying especially for all those who are suffering most in Venezuela because of the difficult economic situation there, and asking us all to pray to Our Lady for her intercession to help with peace there, and as well as the Our Lady of Coromoto and the Saints Jose Gregorio Hernandez and Sister Carmen Rendiles. Pope also remembering the victims of the terrible fire in the Swiss ski resort on New Year's Eve. I'd like to thank you all for joining us, and a special thanks to our partner broadcasters, and they include EWTN Television, Catholic Faith Network in America, Salt and Light Television, Shalom World Television, Atmar Darshan Television, Catholic Television, and Luminous Radio India, as well as all of you joining us live here or on demand following this broadcast. Thaddeus Jones here thanking you, and thanking as well my co-workers making this broadcast possible. A blessed Sunday to you all. Laudetur Jesus Christus, praised be Jesus Christ.